Hi, my name is Kachina, and this story is about my journey on how I navigated the challenges of housing and economic insecurity. As a single mother, I found myself residing in low-income housing for approximately 10 years. This allowed me to provide a roof over my children's head, consistently up until the violence had become a familiar soundtrack of guns, sirens, and screams. As a result, I made the decision to move despite the uncertainty of how I would keep up with the rising cost of housing. The fact of the matter was that my current pay wouldn't cover the new costs. So I did what any responsible parent would do. I found a part-time job. I managed to stay afloat for the better part of 4 years until there were external forces that compromised my housing. Those external forces consisted of a disconnected alliance with my daughter's school, a decrease in my hours at my part-time job, and the straw that broke the camel's back, another rent raise. After about 6 months of going back and forth to find an effective plan to help better support my daughter, I lost my primary job. I was broken. Following that, I sought out organizations that assisted individuals with emergency rental funds in hopes of not losing my house. I was successful. However, the feat was not easy. In my interactions, I encountered judgmental eyes and obnoxious people. I was confused. I felt belittled and demeaned. Weren't these the very same people that were in the social services field here to assist? I came across one gentle soul who said, "Most of us are all just one paycheck away from facing an emergency." While those words gave me solace, it also enraged me as well. A year later, I found myself in a position of facing eviction. This time it went through, despite me having a full-time job. Some people may wonder how I could find myself in this position, and I even asked myself the same question. But it wasn't because I was lazy or didn't have the knowledge or capacity to budget and be responsible. I just simply didn't have enough. There were times when I paid for programs for my children so that they could have access to and exposure to more. They were not receiving that on some levels within their school environment, so I filled that gap as best as I could. It just never felt like enough. So there I was, scrambling, having to figure out what was next. Evictions are harmful in many ways. They can affect a person's credit, reputation, future aspects of loans, ability to get new housing, and also lower a person's credit score. But worst of all of these is the damaging effects on one's mental health. And I found myself on the whole spectrum of that. I fell into a depression. And for a short period of time, I found myself developing a substance abuse problem, a consequence of all the stressors I was dealing with. For a while, I was in a dark space until I let my ego go and accepted help from my loved ones. I was lucky, and even in some ways still privileged because I had a network of support. I internalized a lot of what I went through as a direct result of my own wrongdoings, but I concluded that this was not my fault. I have done what I could with the tools that I had at my own disposal, but that's just the thing. Those tools are not effective in this current climate. Most individuals and families that live in marginalized communities do not have the proper tools to be successful. There's a nationwide housing crisis that is affecting millions across the U.S. Black, white, female, male, and a rising housing cost does not discriminate. While this is shocking, and it hurts my heart that so many others are facing what I went through, it gave me an awareness of sort that my challenge wasn't an individual error, it's a systematic one. Even though I'm in a better space, mentally, emotionally, financially, and spiritually, I still have that prior eviction looming over my head. What if I wasn't as fortunate as I was to have stable housing? Where would I or my kids be? Others weren't as fortunate. My hope is that by sharing my story, those that are in the position to make changes on a systematic or legislative level will take into account my story and the countless others who are or may be affected by these challenges.